DCM.WORKS, putting a jacket on backwards doesn't make it a Snuggie.
Be advised, this podcast features grown-ups using grown-up words.
Welcome to Not Another Smallville. Yay! My name is Steph and I've never seen the show before.
My name's David and I've seen it twice. I was still starting the timer.
I'm sorry.
No,
you told me
that's
to
fine.
start
Go.
when I was ready. Okay, this is season 2, episode 2.
Got it.
Boys and girls, your attention, please. Presenting a new exciting radio program featuring the thrilling adventures of an amazing and incredible personality.
Look, I was like, no, that was fantastic. You just paused like you were waiting for me to say something, and then
Yeah,
I was
I thought
waiting
you
for
were.
to say something.
Yeah.
I didn't have anything prepared. Normally I
okay.
have something prepared. I had nothing. Yeah, this one was, I don't know. It feels like just a return to formula, but without like a villain of the week. This time it was
Except
like
we still did
we
have
still
a villain
got
of the
one,
week,
but
yeah.
it didn't feel as like hammy.
Yeah.
Like it didn't start with her getting her powers and then
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
okay. What are you gonna ask me?
I could or I couldn't. We could change it forever. No, of course. What was the story?
I was waiting. I was
You're like,
okay.
what's happening? Should I be worried? Is there a new segment? No.
This whole
What was the story?
episode so far has been weird. Anyway.
That's not no one's fault.
No.
That was my fault because of the timer. It's fine.
But so yeah, the story was Clark is at school. Chloe comes back from being away at Metropolis for 3 months with
Yep.
her internship.
Mhm.
With the Daily Planet. And anyway, there's like weird tension there because obviously Chloe's like upset about
Yeah.
how they left things off and everything, and
Which is weird because it's been 3 months
yeah.
in timeline.
Yeah. Well, that's what she said to Lana. She was sort of like, 3 months, I thought I'd be over it, but then I saw him again. Those feelings came back.
It came floating back.
And anyway, so yeah, Clark's all excited to see Chloe, and she's obviously like uncomfortable because he's like, hugging her and stuff like that.
He's touching her a lot, which
and
is
she's
weird.
like, when I was in Metropolis, I met a guy and he made me forget about Smallville for 3 months. Yeah, this whole episode.
Did she make that sound?
She did. She was a bitch.
Can we
this
get that sound
episode.
again, Steph? There we go. Excellent.
Um,
That's amazing you can recreate that, actually. I'm impressed. That was
thanks. But yeah, so she's just a bitch this whole episode towards Clark.
good. A little bit, yeah.
She is.
I paused like I was going to disagree, but yeah, in hindsight, she just was really like unnecessarily unkind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so anyway, also Lana's filming videos to send to Whitney because he's been deployed. Yay.
Yeah,
overseas. Which is very vague. I'm
as
assuming
previously discussed,
like
does-
some Middle Eastern country because of the timeline.
It's 2001, so
Yeah,
like,
it'd be start of the
somewhere-
war on terror. So yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway. And yeah, so they're in class and they have a new biology teacher. It's like Clark, Pete, Lana and Chloe.
Yep.
And like they're in class and yeah, there's
First
a new
shot of them
biology
in
teacher.
class,
And
by
it's
the way.
it's yeah, first shot of them in class. We'd actually like in the last episode, I think we made a comment like, have we ever seen them in class?
Yep. and
Now we
this-
have.
now
Yeah,
we
we
have.
predicted it. So yeah, the premise is like there's a heat wave going on. Anyway, they're in class and there's a new teacher and lo and behold, the teacher is like hot.
She's bathing.
Yeah, and she's like
yeah.
wearing a short little dress.
Just
and like,
basically like a lingerie. Like it's very much. I was like, it looks like
it was
pajamas.
like pajamas, yeah. Like when she reaches up to get like the projector screen down, like you see a little bit of butt cheek and all
Tiny
the
bit.
guys are like, oh my god. And anyway, so
Insert drooling sound
they're
there.
watching a sex education video and Clark keeps like turning around to look at the teacher because she's at the back of the room.
She's for some reason fanning herself and doing weird sexy poses.
Yeah, weird sexy poses and like pushing her tits out and stuff. And anyway, Clark all of a sudden starts to like feel very hot. And
hot.
yeah, his eyes start to burn up and he lights the projector screen on fire.
He just shoots one out onto the projector.
Yeah, and so like we're
Good old
basically
fire
like,
eyes.
oh, okay, so
he dies.
this happens when Clark
Gets
is horny.
horny.
And that is later confirmed because he's in the Talon with Lana and she makes a comment about how, well, I'll go into this later, but like she makes a comment that gets Clark off and anyway he...
Gets Clark off.
Well, he lit the Talon on fire.
No, you're right, he did.
And yeah, anyway, so yeah,
Very
heat
aggressive
vision
phrasing.
comes from him being horny.
Apparently.
Anyway, so after the fire, they leave the school. Like, they're all outside because obviously they had to be evacuated. And Lex pulls up and is like, I came as soon as I heard. And then runs past Clark and runs towards the new teacher, who he reveals is his fiancée.
Yep,
that they've known for a week, and they're getting married that night.
which is odd.
Yeah.
No.
Also, did you find it weird how it's like, oh yeah, we're getting married tonight, and then it's daytime at the wedding?
I thought that was odd, but also that they hadn't given out invitations any earlier.
Well, they only met a week ago.
Yeah, but like you'd think that maybe that would be something that.
Yeah.
But no, you're right. It was then daytime.
Yeah, but anyway, you get a weird vibe from the teacher because obviously, like, well, I said I think she's probably like a succubus or something.
Yeah,
but
we both straight away were like, "There's something she's doing."
she's got Lex under some hold. Anyway,
and then because they mentioned very overtly in the video that they were watching the pheromones thing, so I was like, "It's probably gonna be
pheromones. Yeah. And anyway, so yeah, go to the wedding. That's all good. Later on, Clark's in his loft and he he's tried to harness his heat vision. And
That's right.
he's with Papa Kent, and Papa Kent's like, okay, son,
Mm.
here's a scarecrow. Think about what you like you were thinking about when
When it first happened. Yeah.
And he's like trying, and he's like, Dad, I think I need to be
I
alone.
need to be some space.
And then he's like, okay, and so he leaves, and then Clark just looks and he's like, Lana. And then
Just boom,
his
straight
eyes,
up.
like, yeah.
Which is unpleasant to think about in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it is. And then anyway, he's inside and he's popping popcorn, and he like overtly says, yeah, I think I'm able to control it without having to think about sex.
Yeah.
And then he says the word sex and the popcorn like pops everywhere.
It pops everywhere because it's a funny moment.
Yeah.
Apparently.
And they're all like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah, I can take a girl on a date and not like
fucking
light her
melt
on
her to
fire.
death. Yeah.
And it's like, haha, you're going to be thinking about sex when on a date, and you just openly said that to your parents, but whatever.
Oh my god, you're right. That's really.
Yeah, that's why Mama Kent made like a weird expression. I'm
That
sure
explains a
that's
lot.
why.
I was
So
not tuned in enough to that moment.
that's a really weird comment to say around your parents, though.
I mean, I suppose if you're 16, there's nothing else you're thinking about on a date.
Yeah,
if
but
you're a
like
boy.
when you're 16, you also don't openly mention that to your parents.
But when
Did
you're
you,
16,
as a 16-year-old boy, say, "Hey, Mum, I'm thinking about sex"?
No, but I also didn't have the problem of being Clark Kent, where I've had various powers, and it's important to be transparent about that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's true. But
No,
even
you're right.
then,
It's still super weird.
he can just be like, "Yeah, thinking about
Girls would
girls."
have been
yeah.
better than
'Cause-
using the word sex.
Yeah. So anyway,
Because then it just every time that they think about Lana, they're gonna be like, Clark's thinking about nailing her. Like, yeah.
Well, that night, anyway, he's practicing his heat vision by lighting candles in his loft, and the teacher, Desiree, comes in
Oh,
after now being Miss Luther.
she swans in.
Yeah, and she's like, oh yeah, I'm not into older guys. Lex is in our way, blah, blah, blah. I like young guys because they have so much passion,
Yeah.
like makes up for what they lack in experience. And Clark's like, okay.
Which is absolutely not how it works, but yeah.
Yeah, and she tries to essentially...
Do her breathy pheromone.
Yeah,
thing.
she like does this thing where like out of her breath comes this pink stuff and it's pheromones. And anyway, it doesn't work on Clark because obviously he's not human and
Yep.
yeah. Anyway, so she like is like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. Please don't tell Lex. I don't know what came over me. And then the next day, Clark goes, oh yeah, Clark researches about the teacher and finds out that she has a different alias.
That's right.
Like
yeah, she had like a different
her name is something else. And he goes to show Lex, and Lex is like, oh, Desiree told me what happened. And she basically told Lex that Clark came onto her, and Clark's like, no, she came onto me.
It's all lies and swings and roundabouts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And anyway, she comes in, Clark leaves.
They have like a
And-
minor altercation where he's like, I don't know what you're
Yeah.
up to, but I'm not going to bloody drop it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And anyway,
What the fuck happens? now?
Lex is like, oh yeah, no. She's like, oh, yeah, we don't need anyone in Smallville, blah, blah, blah. Don't rely
Yeah.
on them. Like, leave them in your past, and does her breathy thing. And Lex is like, yeah, I think you're right. And so
Right.
the next day he goes into the
Talon.
Talon
Yeah.
and essentially like tells Lana that she's going to be evicted. and
Yeah,
that-
that's right. Yeah.
yeah, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And anyway, Clark figures out that it was most definitely like Desiree's doing. 'cause
Almost certainly.
Lex wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
And anyway, later that night, the teacher, she basically threatens like, look, I have the ability to turn
Yeah.
everyone
It's
against
like, I'll
you.
ruin your fucking life.
I can
Yeah.
turn everyone against you in the town and blah blah blah, including your parents. And he's like, no. Anyway,
It would be great if he did. No, like Tom Welling. Please do that line again. It's like, no, we don't have time. We shoot these in 8 days.
no, yeah.
Use that shot.
And so later that night, she like lights her car on fire.
Yeah.
And because Clark had been linked to like 2 fires recently.
What was the first one was in the class, second one was in the Talon.
The Talon. She says that she saw Clark near his car and they sort of, put the dots together, joined the dots, and were like, Clark, you're under arrest, and took him to the Smallville jail. And anyway, Clark's like, it wasn't me. And so then Mrs. Kent goes to the Talon looking for Mel to see how they're doing with like the Talon's closure. Nell. I thought it was it's Nell.
Nell, yeah.
Sorry. And she sees Lex there and she's like, oh, look, why would you do this to Clark, blah, blah, blah. He wouldn't do that. And he's like, I don't know what Clark would do, blah, blah, blah. And
yeah, they have like a weird altercation.
well, then she sort of knocks the sense into him, really, because he's like, look, I wouldn't think that Clark would do that, but then again, I know Desiree, and she's like, you've known her for a week and married her after a week. How well can you know her? And storms off, and that sort of leaves Lex there sort of questioning.
He's being like, oh, maybe she's right.
Yeah. And anyway, meanwhile, Mr. Kent is looking for
Papa Kent, famous
Papa
for
Kent
being
Bowduke.
Yeah, Bowduke.
He goes to see Desiree, and obviously she's swimming in a pool with no top on.
I mean, why wouldn't she be?
Yeah, because she's
in her free time, all she does is vaguely sexy things, apparently.
And she hops out of the pool and is like, oh, I suppose you want to talk? And he's like, yes, but I'd rather you do it fully clothed, and throws a robe at her. Anyway, she uses her breathy thing and like persuades him to kill
I guess.
Lex, because I guess like she got Lex to sign a prenuptial agreement to say that like she inherits everything in his death,
in his will,
in the event of his death. And
well, no, because
that would just be his will.
Yeah, she didn't
sign the prenup. That reminds
me. She got him to change his will.
Yeah, she got him to change his will, and
which is insane.
Yeah, but she has the power of persuasion because of her pheromones. Anyway, so Clark's in jail, and then Chloe and Lana come because they've done some research about Desiree and find out that she, on the night of the meteors, was in a car with her boyfriend having sex, and because of the heightened like pheromones or whatever, obviously she now has the power to emit pheromones and to persuade
make
men.
You do whatever.
Yeah, and
which is crazy.
Clark was the only one that it never worked on. And so anyway, Clark starts a fire to get the fire alarm to go off so that he can break out of the jail cell.
Yeah.
Because the guy comes in and is like, oh, look, stay close to me. But Clark just super speeds off and goes to Lex's house. And meanwhile, Lex comes in, sees Desiree, and is like, ever since we got married, ever since I met you, I feel like I've been like my whole life's changed. Been making like really out of character decisions in terms of like business and friends and everything.
Shit, yeah.
And I think it's to do with you. And she's like, well, like nothing you can do. Everything that's yours is mine now. Because
of the will.
Because of the will.
Yeah.
And he's like, you only get stuff in the event that I die. And she's like, well, okay. And he's like, you're not planning to kill me, are you? And she's like, no. And then she goes and opens the door, and Papa Kent's there with a gun. She's like, but he is. And
which, by the way, impressive that he was he waiting the whole time?
Yeah, I guess so.
I guess, yeah.
Anyway,
good dramatic timing on her behalf, then.
Yeah, and so Papa Kent comes in. He's gonna shoot Lex, and then Clark comes in, bursts in, because that's what he does.
He's just a bursting in kind of guy.
Yeah, and sees his dad, and he's like, Dad, no. And Papa Kent fires the gun, and obviously slow-mo bullet shot, and Clark, instead of running and deflecting the bullet, just melts the bullet.
Yep.
And
even though it wouldn't have hit Lex anyway.
Yeah, Lex was going to dodge it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Lex ends up on the floor, there's no bullet, and then Papa Kent goes to shoot him again, and Clark...
He just slings him into the wall.
Yeah, slings him into the wall, which I guess sort of knocks him out or whatever. And then, meanwhile, Desiree gets a bottle of alcohol, smashes it on Lex's back, then lights him on fire.
Fuck.
And then
That would just kill
he's
him.
burning, and then she's about to get away. So Clark uses his heat vision to heat the door handle so that when she goes to touch it and leave, that her hand burns and she's just like writhing in pain. And while she's doing that, he puts out the fire on Lex, and then like
And Lex is magically fine.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then he got the marriage annulled, and that's all good.
And no worries and everything.
And then there was a weird thing between Clark and Lana at the end,
Yeah,
where Lana admits that she is doesn't
gonna
have feelings for
get out of
Whitney, and
Whitney.
she's gonna, tell him how she really feels and blah blah blah.
Mm.
And then
But she's sus on him because of the fires.
yeah, she's sussing him because of the fires, and she's like, oh, the mystery of Clark Kent.
It just seems to me that they're trying to do this thing where they want to, now that she's available, she's not going to be available.
yeah,
Because they just don't want it to happen. And it
Yeah.
feels like super weird and, not forced, but
Forced.
like, it's just weird.
yeah, it is.
Like, in any other situation, they would be like, great, let's get together.
Yeah,
But what they've done now is they've engineered it such that just
so
can't.
that she's got like something against Clark, like she has trust issues essentially, and can't be with him.
Which is insane, because they should, like, if they were going to do that, it should have started in season 1.
Yeah,
You can't just be like, well, it's season 2, time to do trust issues.
yeah.
But instead, they're like, no, let's wait till the last minute.
Also,
the
there's so
episode
many
before you need
times
it.
that Clark has just come and saved Lana, and like now she's starting to like, because always she's either like knocked unconscious.
There was that one
or-
time that the guy had, the corrupt cop had her in the, like, carnival or whatever.
Yeah,
And he deflected a bullet and then stood over her as a panel of glass
Yeah.
fell on her, and she didn't even bat an eyelid.
no,
But now suddenly it's a whole thing?
yeah,
Like, no, inconsistent, Smallville. Disappointed in you.
Mm.
But then there's that, and then, like, the age-old question of, like, does Clark sweat normally?
well, obviously
'Cause he-
only when he's horny.
Only when he's horny? Because in the classroom he was all sweaty, but that's only because it's just real.
I just find it funny though that like they chose like him being horny as like his heat vision. Does
So
that mean
weird.
that like he now has a control on like boners as well?
Does he have, like, ultimate boner
Is that
control?
like
He's got, like,
yeah.
the one thing that every male wishes they had. He can just, like, control all of that.
Yeah.
But then, if that's true, but the only way he controls it is by using his heat vision.
Yeah.
So then I mean, he'll have to use his heat vision frequently to not.
Well, no, that's sort
Is
of
that
like
not how it
he
works?
was like, oh look, like now that I know what's triggering it, I can not.
I don't have to think about
Yeah,
sex
I don't
to
have
do
to
it.
think about sex to do it.
But still, it feels a little bit convenient that now that problem is just totally solved.
Yeah.
Which I guess makes sense because it's one of, like, Superman's big powers or whatever. But, like,
Mm.
it's just, once again, they were like, how do we get this into the show without it being weird? And then they just did the most weird thing they possibly could.
Yeah.
Like,
And still, like, it wasn't villain of the week, but it was like, okay, so you had to set up that plot point, like that there was some succubus like lady with pheromones
exclusively
to-
to get him to do heat vision.
to yeah, because it's not like he's been horny any other time.
Ever. Even though we know for sure he has, because he's
Like it couldn't be like they had an episode where him and Lana like almost started dating and he just kept lighting shit on fire.
That would
and
have been
figured
a
it out.
better episode.
Yeah, it would have.
Yeah, where they like almost, where like maybe they start.
Or like if they had like a replay of that dream where like he was floating on above her, but then he like lights the bed on fire or
Shit,
something.
that'd be scary.
Actually, yeah, that
In
might
his
not be
dream,
good.
he
Yeah,
lights
no,
her on
that
fire,
would have
and
been
you're
good.
like, oh god.
That would have been good.
Just
Actually,
Lana melting, and you're like, oh Jesus.
Hmm.
No, you've described a horror
Yeah,
scenario.
actually.
Actually, that's like the worst.
I don't know why I said
I
that.
do like the idea though of like, yeah, an episode where maybe they now that she's available and it's the heat vision that gets in the way.
Yeah,
And then of course then that might set up the trust
that might
issues.
set up the trust issues because she's like, "Why are you avoiding me?" Blah blah
because
blah.
that would be a super
But-
interesting way of doing it.
But well, I could write this show better than what the writers do.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you should
Mm.
call them up. I mean,
well,
the show's
I mean,
over
the
now,
show's been finished.
but you
for-
should still call them up and tell them. Like,
I'll,
you should let them know
I'll
what's up.
tell them.
Give them some, like,
you
clip
should have
notes.
hired me when I was 6
You
years
should've-
old to write this.
You should have hired me when I was an infant.
Yeah,
In grade 1, I would have bloody shown you good, mate.
yeah.
Yeah, they would have
I was
probably
the best
not.
reader in my class.
I was reading at a grade 4 level. No, that's too much for grade 1. I was reading at a grade 2 level.
I think I was reading at a grade 3 level, but that was just because of like the school that I went to in Townsville. And then we moved down here and like mum showed them all the homework that I've been doing. They're like, oh, we don't go into this until like 2 years
They're
later.
Like, she's too smart. Do something with
No,
it.
literally, like,
Yeah, that's tough. We've all
Anyway,
been there. I've
yeah.
never been told I'm too smart. Almost always the opposite, so can't relate to that one.
well,
But no, like I think what's interesting though, or not interesting, but what could be a problem for them moving forward is now that he's got heat vision, That's going to be like his new power for this season.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. They're gonna like absolutely flog it, like
To
they
death.
did with X-ray vision.
To death. And probably what's going to start to happen is that for a while, every issue is going to be solved by heat vision.
Yeah,
But the problem now is he's got enough powers that there's no thing he can't solve. So the reasons that he can't fix a problem get more and more convoluted to the point where it's going to... Because they haven't really introduced other people with proper powers.
yeah,
It's
no.
still just a dude that controls bees or fucking whatever.
Yeah.
So like at some point they're going to have to like actually take the initiative and be like, here's someone else with similar superpowers
That's true.
that Clark will have to actually put, his skills up against instead of just fixing it like easily.
Yeah, that's true.
Because he doesn't know how to fight.
No,
Like he's never fought anyone. The closest he's done is he picks people up and throws them.
he just knows how to like put obstacles in their way or whatever.
Or just stand in front of stuff
Yeah,
as it happens.
yeah.
Which is like, whatever. So I don't know. I don't know if they're going to do that this season. Probably not. I feel like they're just going to linger on this whole Lana
They're
Clark
just
thing,
gonna let him continue to be like the most non-confrontational hero.
which is so unexciting. Because, like, I guess it makes sense, though, because Clark Kent is supposed to be, like, a little bit meek.
Yeah,
So that, like, Superman is, like, the, but it's just kind of, it's getting a little hard to watch him never make any decisive action at all. Unless it's breaking up with someone or not taking action. Like,
Yeah.
he's really decisive about not doing stuff.
yeah, he is, and he's like, no, I can't do it. I
He's like,
can't do it. I can't do it.
Can't do it. Can't go out with you, Barb. Can't do this thing. Not gonna do this thing for you, Chloe. Not gonna do this thing. Like, it's just very much like that's all.
It's getting really annoying though that he doesn't just go for Lana. Like, I really like. I'm getting to the point where it's like,
The conceit
okay,
is almost not working.
can you just stop it then?
Yeah.
Like, put an end to it.
If he's not gonna get with her, stop spending.
Like
Time.
the last, 5 minutes of every episode with them having some weird lip bite moment. Like that is literally
You don't
how
need
it's
it.
been
You don't need
for
it.
the past like 8 episodes.
Yeah, I mean probably more than that.
Yeah.
Well, no, before that he was spying at her through his telescope,
Yeah.
which apparently we're all just fine with still.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're like whatever.
He hasn't done it since though. Or has he? We don't know.
Mm,
We only see so much of his day.
yeah, I reckon he probably has.
He totally would have.
Totally.
Is she ever home though?
What do you mean?
Is she only ever at the Talon?
Oh, did she even go home? I don't know. She hasn't got a class, that's for sure.
No.
Should the school be worried that she's not getting an education?
Probably.
Because it feels like she's just never there.
I don't think Smallville worries about much, honestly.
Yeah,
Like
it's
them as a
Kansas.
collective, they just don't care.
It's a farming town, so like maybe they're like, yeah, at least she has a job.
Yeah,
maybe.
probably.
I don't know. It's. I worry for Lana's future.
So do
Is
I.
she gonna go to college? Probably not.
No.
University? Is it even a thing that they would consider?
I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm worried about.
Does Clark go to college?
Is
Is there college for journalists?
I think so. I think. Yeah. I want to say yes, but I don't know if that's true.
It'd be cool watching him at like a frat party.
I don't know.
It's like, do a keg stand.
Clark can, but again, where would it all go? Because it doesn't even have any. I don't know. What
Can-
does he have a butthole?
Can
Again,
Clark even get drunk?
I don't think so. Probably
Dunno.
not, unless he
These
gets
are the-
drunk on sweet kryptonite.
Well, these are the real questions, aren't they?
What if you had like a kryptonite shot where it was vodka and like tiny bit of liquid kryptonite? That'd get him drunk. Or kill
Or
him.
kill him.
Worth the risk? Probably.
Hmm.
Only one way to find out. But look, hopefully more shots next time.
Hopefully.
Not bullets, but exclusively kryptonite vodka shots. I'm sure someone's designed a drink that looks like that. Almost certainly.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. But hopefully more of that next episode if we're lucky.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
That's my fantasies. Kryptonite shots where or just at least Clark being drunk or something like that.
Something like that.
Impaired.
Yeah.
Maybe he can do heroin. I don't know.
Him do-
something. What?
I was gonna say normal teenage, like
Sorry,
experimental
That was quite a
stuff.
step up, wasn't it?
Holy moly.
I assumed that because he's so like Superman-y, hard drugs would
Like,
be
I was
the
just
only
thinking
option.
like smoke some herb and have Mama Ken find it and be like, no, drugs are bad.
Like, don't do the dank, and he's like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to relax,
Mom.
man. Mom, you're so uncool, Mom. Just trying to listen to my records, Mom.
Oh.
No, he probably wouldn't do heroin. But as always,
Could he even inject a needle?
a kryptonite needle, probably.
He can't even give blood.
But why would he want to give?
Because
blood?
remember, like, when they tried to give him vaccines as a kid or something, or, like, tried to take blood,
Mm.
they, like, the needles would just bend.
Yeah, but like he doesn't even.
He
have,
couldn't even do heroin.
He doesn't even have human blood, so would it even like affect him?
No.
You know what I mean? Does he even have blood?
But, like,
I guess we've seen him bleed.
he won't even get in.
That's a problem. Yeah, no, I
Can't
hadn't
even do
considered
it.
That. Can't even do it unless he does some kind of weird kryptonite drug, which I'm sure he will eventually,
Yeah.
because that's the kind of show this is. But look, Steph, as always, we're at DCM_works if you want to tweet at us if you have a strong opinion. We also track hashtag NASpod.
Yes.
If you want to tweet us something abusive or
No.
Sorry.
Nice.
Wait, no, nice. Exclusively nice.
Yeah.
If you leave an iTunes review, it really helps out the show. Lets other people find the show that are looking for stuff like this. What are the other things that we have? We're also on Patreon if you want to give us $1 or $2.
Wahoo.
And I'm at DCM I Hate Pie.
I'm at StephanieJD95.
And we will see you guys next week
Yeah.
for
Bye.
more hot mess of Smallville.
Yeah.
Mm.
Thanks for listening. If you want to support the show, just head to patreon.com/DCMWorks.